Welcome folks, it's me Matt, thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to do a reaction video today. I don't normally do these on my channel, but I just stumbled across a very interesting Patria Arctic Event 2025 Summit. I guess kind of a review of their equipment and kind of a demonstration. And I'm actually really excited for this one because I'm a massive fan of Patria and their series of vehicles. So let's look into what the Arctic Event 2025 is all about, and I'll put my comments throughout. And of course, if you do want to go check out the video without my annoying British accent, somewhat Canadian accent, coming across your screen, I will put the link in the original video below. But if you want to hear my input, here we go.
The Task Force Arctic Hammer is a company-level task force with necessary capabilities to succeed on the battlefield. Its mission is to take the contact and destroy the enemy observed on Objective Steel. After taking Steel, prepare to continue the attack either to Objective Iron or Objective Copper to cut.
Okay, so first of all, the name Arctic Hammer is a pretty badass name. If you don't know, battle procedure and how tactical designation on maps works, this is basically just an advance and destroy basically everything within the corridor of the lines on the left and the right. Objective Steel is their primary objective. It looks like Iron and Copper are their secondary. Hard to tell whether or not there's actually, different types of forces in here other than target zones. You can see the AE there, that's indicating enemy positions, and then the circular half semicircle red is indicating fortified positions in their arcs of fire. So Arctic Hammer is about to go into some Arctic hell by the looks of it.
Cut the lines of communication for the enemy and destroy the enemy. Commander's Tactical Command Post is located in Synapse Command and Control Container.
Now, first thing that's interesting about command and control centers, C2 nodes, and basically having a hub of data that's going to be pushed out to the rest of the battle group is in this particular setting, you'll notice that the majority of the communications mast is camouflage, looking, in from long distance, looking like a tree, but the vehicles themselves are not. It's an interesting way of doing it this way. Maybe they're about to deploy, and that's why they're leaving the command tent behind, but it's just kind of interesting where you have the threat of drones nowadays looking for targets, and they have this camouflaged command post, yet the vehicles are parked outside. A drone at this point is looking for you. You're already done for.
The container is equipped with integrated mast, required operator workstations, and all necessary software tools. Patria's Dome software provides necessary situational information for the task force commander and feeds from several other systems like passive radar and counter UAV systems. Dome also presents the locations of each unit and their vehicles.
Now, this is actually really, really important. I've talked about battle management systems quite heavily on my channel recently. It's becoming something that when I was crew commander of a 512 Warrior, battle management system barely worked. It was terrible. It was laggy, didn't connect, it didn't show you where the correct vehicles were. But you can see in this particular demonstration that the battle management system will basically icon following across a screen as to where targets are or where your friendly forces are on a GPS map is very prominent here. And I'm actually really enjoying seeing more and more of this being shared to the public, because we're starting to see that this isn't just a niche for certain militaries. Everyone is looking to deploy battle management very heavily, and it's not just something that's a luxury. Now it's a necessity.
The commander's Ilias fleet management tools are providing necessary information for the decision making.
Now this is interesting. You'll notice this is kind of almost like a Power BI, like a spreadsheet indicating what assets they have available and what platforms they have available. I'd be curious to see if you can get kind of a grape shot, or basically a understanding of how much ammunition in each platform may have. You can see it looks like it has a majority of platforms there. We got mortars, guns, it's giving you what you have available. But again, this is very important, particularly at a command level, understanding what you do and don't have. When the shit hits the proverbial fan, you're going to want to know what is left of your battle group, and particularly if there's a lot going on. This gives you a very top-level view of, yep, I've only got 3 vehicles in whip that can actually operate. I've got a vehicle being repaired, I've got a vehicle being replenished, I've got a vehicle stuck, I've got a vehicle in a minefield, or being repaired. It's quite interesting seeing this kind of battle management system at a level of, what's available to you. Kind of unique. I've never seen this before.
Commander needs to know the real-time status of the task force's vehicles and other systems. Task Force Arctic Hammer is now fully operational and ready for its mission. task force's tactical command post has now ordered reconnaissance detachment to gain information and survey the direction of task force's offensive. The reconnaissance detachment is equipped with a multi-purpose all-terrain track vehicle. The track vehicle is integrated with Cyma Innovations ring mount and KNDS 20mm P20 cannon.
Okay, so let's be honest. In a Arctic or snowy condition, this is a very, very cool little reconnaissance vehicle. It makes a lot of sense. Those big, heavy-duty, looks like rubberized tracks, getting them almost everywhere they need to go. Quite low profile overall, other than this giant 20mm and the troops sticking out the top of it. I would personally pick, if it's a reconnaissance platform, not having that defensive measure and just keep it completely camouflaged and nice and low profile where it can get in and out. If it was just a little bit lower without that turret on there, that snowbank would almost cover it entirely. Of course, vehicles still need some form of self-defense, but it doesn't seem necessary to have that 20mm on top of there. If it became in contact, I think it's pretty much done for anyway, but, you know, each to their own. It still makes sense in the grand scheme of things as a reconnaissance element.
The reconnaissance detachment activates its eye in the sky, the Patria sky drone, to detect possible hostile movement or targets in the area. Patria Sky UAV can be equipped with different types of sensors and payloads. This time, Sky is equipped with surveillance payload.
Okay, so this really is the future of reconnaissance, let's be honest. As I mentioned with that 20mm on top of the vehicle, that vehicle is probably not even going to get exposed to any frontline elements or, you know, counter-recce elements, because it's going to be so far back deploying these kind of drones. And that's why I think, you know, when we talk about reconnaissance, we're really not looking at a vehicle looking through binos at long distance. Of course, that's always going to be inherently part of reconnaissance for armored vehicles, but this kind of setup for, you know, Task Force Hammer or Arctic Hammer, drones is their go-to. And, you know, you can see this target's 577 meters away. I think certain drones probably have the capability to be seeing things even further than that. But, you know, I think this is going to be the future, particularly what it seems like in Patria's doctrine is the go-to for reconnaissance support.
The reconnaissance squad reports the situation on the area to Tactical Command Post. The Task Force Tactical Command Post sends optionally unmanned vehicle to carry on surveillance on the same area. The vehicle is Patria's AMV XP 8x8 vehicle, equipped with optionally unmanned capabilities.
Okay, first of all, let's just look at this vehicle. That is a pretty tidy looking vehicle. It looks very crisp, clean cut, well designed. I do love the AMV setups. Patria make very good wheeled vehicles. I've done a number of videos on my channel, but this, as he mentioned, could be an unmanned platform. Folks, 20 years from now, I'm going to be looking back at these videos when I'm an old man and saying, well, Matt, you said it back then, and now today it's happening. In 20 years from now, unmanned vehicles, I truly do think, are going to be part of the massive spearhead elements of most battle groups. You know, not just these small individual units here and there. Primarily, the majority of the force you're going to have will be unmanned, and you'll have, obviously, manned units behind, coordinating them, as you can see from this command post. But I have to admit, this vehicle just looks absolutely beautiful.
In this configuration, we call it Heavy UGV, Heavy Unmanned Ground Vehicle. The command post can remotely operate the vehicle, even in demanding conditions. The vehicle has camera system to provide situational awareness for remote operator at the tactical command post. The Heavy UGV is also equipped with remotely operated target acquisition unit from Patria's partner Vegvisir. This long-range camera can detect and acquire targets several kilometers away.
That is pretty impressive. You can see how the AI or the, you know, computer software is detecting targets and placing squares upon them automatically. It's seeing through whatever algorithm or process it's using within inside of it to find and identify common relatable objects that look like something. And that's only what I can assume. I'm not saying that's a fact. But you can see on the bottom there, it's showing its direction and distance. It's giving you even a grid reference if you want to call in indirect fires. Very, very useful, right? As a forward observer myself, you know, part of my job is really going out the window when it comes to actually being on the ground. If you have an unmanned vehicle that can park up, stick a mast up that lifts 20 feet in the air, has a extremely powerful camera like this one can, and can see targets up to, I mean, in this instance, it's showing 640 meters, but I'm sure it can see a lot further than that. Forward observation in its primitive ways of today with binos and crawling up into a hill, although, of course, always relevant, I think is going to be starting to see a lot more of this kind of technology taking over.
The heavy UGV has valuable capabilities, so it makes sense to protect it from the threats of modern battlefield. Patria's heavy UGV has two separate protection systems integrated on it. The heavy UGV has active protection system against rocket-propelled grenades, RPGs, and anti-tank missiles. Protection system is called Trophy from Eurotrophy. It is integrated on the opposite corners of chassis to provide full 360-degree coverage from the anti-tank threats. The other active countermeasure heavy UGV has is Sense of Fusion's air fence counter-drone system.
There we go, folks. We're in the drone world. This is a big deal, okay? Having technology, I've talked about this so many times, this is battle management system at its best, okay? We're looking at the software, the computer, and the vehicles that are using this software and computer, linking data as to where these threats are coming from. Once you're able to identify where drones are flying from and where they are, they're easier to engage. Detection of drones is one of the hardest things. There's so much technology now that can shoot these things out of the sky, big or small. But it's finding them and seeing them first. Most of the footage I see of drones coming in on armored vehicles are that the crew are absolutely oblivious they're even in the AO, right? Even up to 500 or 600 meters away, up until 10 meters to the hit. They just have no idea it's there. With BMS and these optics and sensors that can detect these kind of drones coming in, you're going to be able to make a decision quicker. Okay, it's not saying it's going to stop it, because not all weapon systems can knock out some of these drones, but it does give you the ability to communicate to other battle groups around the area and saying, I've got drones in my space. What do you have nearby that could potentially be sending these things up? Start scanning your arcs, looking for thermal signatures of the operators using these drones. And yes, I know fiber optic cables and longer ranges of drones are making it more difficult for that to happen. But in this scenario, let's say it's Task Force Arctic Hammer in the west here. Let's say Task Force Arctic Drill were in the north and they were, 5 kilometers away. If they know drones are in the area and the battle management system communication is detecting that drone already up in the sky, potentially they can pass message back and forth between battle groups saying, look for drone operators in the area. We're not looking for tanks now. We are being engaged by drones. This is a big deal. Awareness and situational awareness of drones is the biggest way of getting rid of them and stopping them from taking out your vehicles.
After detecting the hostile FPV drone, Air Fence system counters the drone with electronical countermeasures. The drone is sent false commands, and it is forced to land and drop. The heavy UGV has countered the drone threat automatically, and it is now remotely operated to set up an observation post and to carry on surveillance of the area. The Reconnaissance detachment, with its tracked vehicle, has the observation data from heavy UGV and moves now forward. While moving, the tracked vehicle detects enemy movement.
Dear Canada, please, for the love of everything, look into buying one of these vehicles. I don't even know what this is. It looks like a cross between an Ajax and a BV-206, like a Beowulf. I don't know what this is. I'm going to have to do more research, because this thing looks badass. Again, not a massive fan of the cupola on top with the 20mm. I think if you're going to have a reconnaissance element, keep it reconnaissance low-key. Yes, again, defensive, but wow. This thing is cool. Canada, please buy these things.
Tracked vehicle opens fire with its KNDS P-20 cannon to engage the enemy target. The P-20 cannon is on Sima Innovations ring mount. The P-20 has range of 2,000 meters, and it can deliver 750 rounds per minute.
So, folks, I'm not sure of the logic here. Having a crew-served weapon at 20mm in such an exposed configuration like this defeats the purpose of being a recce element. That troop is likely going to be an extremely important asset. Having him killed by drones or indirect fire when using this system, which as soon as he fires and opens up, acoustic detection, drones, etc., he's so much more visible. It's not hard even for a sniper to take out this gunner. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, having it in an open-top cupola. Maybe they could have put it in its own autonomous system, unmanned turret? I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me.
The tracked vehicle has ballistic and mine protection, excellent tactical and operational mobility, with the top speed of over 80 kilometers per hour.
Damn! I'm pretty sure he's going to be saying that's off-road. 80 k's an hour, low profile, nice wide tracks, can go all over a place in the snow. You couldn't pick a better reconnaissance element for particularly here in Canada, staying at home, but even abroad. Like, just look how low profile that is. It's just going into that small little berm, and it's already about to, unexpose a large portion of the vehicle. I love this thing. I've got to do more homework. I also want to add that the gunner is doing a pretty good job of engaging those targets. He's probably firing up to around 600 meters using a red dot scope. Not so sure about this, folks. A 20 millimeter gun, that is not cheap ammunition. It's very quickly depleted because it is a reconnaissance vehicle. Once again, you're relying upon the accuracy of this system mostly through the human eye and manually controlling it like a 50 cal. It doesn't seem to make sense in this setting. Super cool. I mean, the guy on that gun's probably having an absolute field day. But it didn't look as though he was as accurate as he could have been. A few of those rounds skipping off the sides and around the back. But maybe it's just my eyes. But those traces certainly didn't look like they were all penetrating through the same hole, which an autonomous system or a sort of dedicated turret system could probably do a lot better at.
The reconnaissance squad reports the situation and the movement of armored enemy forces to the tactical command post. The command post orders the 1st Mechanized Infantry platoon with their AMV XP IFV vehicle to suppress the enemy targets.
Oh my goodness, look at that thing. Oh. I mean, seriously though, look at that vehicle. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Every nut, bolt, and rivet looks like it's precision locked into where it needs to be. Very clean, and yes, I know this is showcasing, so of course it's not muddy and extra gear strapped on the side like a normal combat vehicle would be. But just in the profile of what it looks like, you can just tell this is a very high quality produced vehicle. And I know looks can be deceiving from the outside, but folks, Patria has an extremely well-renowned capability with their wheeled vehicles, and I have to say, this just looks stunning.
The 1st Mechanized Infantry platoon sends its AMV XP integrated with Kongsberg Defense's MCT-30 turret to repel the enemy targets. The AMV XP 8x8 is designed as the main tactical vehicle of mechanized infantry units. AMV XP is capable to carry infantry squad with ballistic and mine protection. AMV XP can be integrated with a variety of weapon systems. The Kongsberg MCT-30 is remotely operated weapon system with 30mm Bushmaster cannon and state-of-the-art targeting capabilities.
Folks, I don't think a single round came off target, and those templates, those screens there, looks like a pretty good accuracy rating from what I can tell. Firing on the move as well, not very quickly, so to speak. It is also on a plowed road. Of course, most of the time you're not going to be trundling across the plowed vehicled road. You're going to be trying to utilize the terrain a little bit more, but in the grand scheme of things, that gun is using those rounds very effectively to hit those targets exactly where you need to be. So hats off to the designer of the RCT here.
The AMV XP IFV has now suppressed all the detected targets and moves on to carry on its task, while taking advantage of coverage that snowy terrain provides. Task Force Commander gives order to suppress the enemy targets with indirect fire. Order is given to Mortar Detachment, Forward Observer Team, Reconnaissance Detachment, and its drone team. The heavy UGV detects several enemy targets and uses its target acquisition capability to locate the targets and provide target information for fire missions. A 3-man forward observation team advances to set up an observation post.
There you go, folks. See, always going to need forward observers like myself to go out and look for the targets for indirect fires. But I think I made an error before. So, I was saying about that camera being able to use the software to detect targets. I think those red squares were actually the red squares of the target, so I'll take that back. But folks, that technology certainly does exist. I've seen it, particularly with the Acheron missile. The sighting system there can actually easily identify and look for objects that don't look natural and normal and prioritize them as targets, and in the software give them visualization. And these forward observers clearly are going to be using the old school method of the human eye, binos, vectors, probably GPS sterner, vector sterner, things like that. But I think what we're about to see is drones and these vehicles using more advanced optics to call in that indirect fire with precision.
Forward observation team's main equipment is Portable Target Acquisition Sensor, Lily from Synop. Lily is a superior tool for observation, reconnaissance, and target acquisition. Versatile connectivity and communication possibilities ensure a high situational awareness level for Lily users.
Oh my god, it's getting me all hot and heavy here. As a forward observer, seeing a system like this, it blows my mind. I'm using something extremely primitive for the most part with the vector sterner setup. At the end of the day, though, all these fancy gizmos, being a forward observer, you can go back to basically using binoculars. If you use your drills correctly, you don't need all this fancy stuff. You also got to remember that when this fancy stuff breaks, it breaks hard. There's a lot of technical information going inside of here too, so if you get taken out or attacked, and this stuff is captured, you can see all the grid references on the bottom there. Most of them are going to be target data, but there's still going to be potentially a reference as to where your battle group is. I'm not sure how this stuff syncs, but you can see on the top right there, it does have satellite GPS connection and also what seems to be Bluetooth, and it looks like it's about to prioritize its firing for mortars on the top left there. But wow, this is pretty clean in terms of how it's set up. But the visual, maybe it's just the way they have to film it. It doesn't look as clean as it could be, but I think that's purely just due to the pixelation of having to film through a lens like you would with anything else, trying to get that third-party image through another system. It's never going to look super clean.
Forward Observation Squad has also a sniper equipped with Sako TRG sniper rifle to provide necessary fire support. Reconnaissance Detachment activates its ISR capability, and Patria Sky Drone is sent forward to detect targets and to provide target information. The sniper detects enemy infantry and engages the targets. Patria Tremos, the 120mm mortar system, moves to its first firing position.
Oh, baby. First of all, look at that big old boy on the right there. He is ready to put rounds down range. It reminds me of that guy from that scene where he's at the I guess, Daytona or something. He's like, we're going left, son. Like, that's the kind of guy I would imagine being on this mortar system. Instead of being at car races, he's actually on the mortars. We're going high angle. I said high and... Sorry, I'm going to shut up now, but this is awesome. Like, this is a massive mortar system on the back of an ISU truck. Like, this is cool.
Tremos can quickly open fire and leave the firing position immediately after fire mission is executed. The recoil system enables integration to almost any type of vehicle. Tremos is capable to be moved quickly from platform to platform, for example, if the vehicle is damaged.
That is wild. It really blows my mind. This is going to be cheap. It's going to be fast. It's going to be extremely easy to train on. Folks, I know I talk about the fancier technology, but this is just old school mortar systems on the back of a truck. And a lot of people can say, that's useless, it's going to be taken out by drones, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can spend $8 million on a fancy armored vehicle that you can use directly or indirectly for mortars, which Patria does produce. Or you can buy this thing for probably a quarter of the price that does almost the exact same thing, launching rounds all over the place and being able to get out there quickly. Unfortunately, though, these troops are certainly exposed to the elements, but wow, this is pretty cool. Primitive, easy.
Tremos has high...
Oh, here comes the big boy. Here he comes to show it how it's done. Oh my goodness. I was just talking to you about the armored version. So you got, in terms of customers that may want to look at this, you've got kind of the cheap, easy option, does the exact same thing, or what we're about to see is the creme de la creme, the prestige version of this platform. That's pretty accurate fire, guys. It's going in with about 10 meters of the center of mass of the target. That's pretty impressive. And there he goes, sits back in his fun seat, and off they go again. Can you imagine being the loader? Literally just sit down, watch the scenery, put a few rounds down the tube, sit back down, and drive off. That would be my role, guys. I would be the fat mortar gunner that would just be sat there on the tube, being able to look out into the distance and now then pull over and put some metal down a tube. I love it.
Patria Nemo, the turreted 120mm on AMV 8x8, has started its first firing mission. A 4-round MRSI.
So, 4-round MRSI, multiple round simultaneous impact. I've done a video on the Patria Nemo before. Incredible platform. Firing on the move, firing in a direct fire configuration. This thing has it all. I would love to have this platform within the Canadian artillery, but it is very expensive. I will say that. You're paying for some really high quality indirect fires, though. So, as much as I would say I'd love to have it, I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
Multiple rounds simultaneous impact. Patria Nemo is compact, mobile, turreted, and remote-controlled mortar system. It has several groundbreaking capabilities like indirect fire, direct fire, MRSI, MTSI, and all of those also on the move. It provides excellent crew protection up to platform level. It has a large onboard ammunition supply, and it is also compatible with all standard 120mm smoothbore mortar ammunition. And it also has a full 360 degrees traverse. The Patria Nemo is now at the second firing position, and it will conduct the second 4-round MRSI mission. The rounds are fired using different trajectories and different charges so that they will land at the target almost simultaneously. That all can be done with Patria's fire control system and ballistic calculation.
That is wild. Seeing multiple round simultaneous impact happening really blows my mind, because you're also telling the enemy they have no idea how many tubes are out there. Now, that looks as if, though, there's 4 gun tubes out there engaging the target at once, but it's not. It's one platform. Now, MRSI does have some drawbacks. Okay, of course, you're using all of your ammunition quite quickly. You are also exposing yourself for quite some time. It does not really rely as much upon shoot and scoot. If you are being tracked by drones, sitting there for at least 30 to 60 seconds to make MRSI work is risky. So it is a very cool feature, but it's probably something that has a bit of a niche on the battlefield, because nowadays shoot and scoot truly is, particularly with drones, very important. And MRSI, unless it has a very quick firing rate, which, to be fair, Nemo does, it is a little risky.
And detects enemy targets.
Okay, so why wouldn't you put the 20mm on the remote weapon system like that reconnaissance element? Again, doesn't make a huge amount of sense. But hey, I guess this is this is the doctrine they're rolling with. Now, I kind of like this vehicle. It looks more sort of a mine-resistant kind of setup. The remote weapon system, certainly very, very useful. But personally, if this is up to me, I would have the remote weapon system on the reconnaissance element and have the manned platform on top of this one. Because when you're working with sort of counter-infantry engagements, you're going to want to have that situational awareness of the human eye a little bit closer. They can react quicker as a crew. You're not blinded by, having to just use computer screens. I'd just do a one-for-one swap. I know many are probably going to disagree with me on that, but that's be my opinion anyway.
Patria 6x6 APC with Kongsberg RS4 is equipped with .50 caliber M2 heavy machine gun. It will engage the detected targets. At the same time, the 6x6 APC from 2nd Mechanized Infantry Platoon moves forward to repel the enemy targets. This 6x6 APC is equipped with SIMA Innovation ring mount, KNDS smoke grenade launcher system.
I take that back. It looks like exactly what they've done. Put it on a manned system on top there. So maybe the primary lead element is given the RWS just to kind of absorb that first attack from the infantry. Once they've suppressed with the RWS, they then have the dismounts and the situational awareness of the crew commander or the gunner with that 50 cal on top. Makes a lot more sense. I love also that they've got the ski patrol skis on the side there. These troops look really professional and they've got quite the setup here on their gear. This is what I wish, I had here. Obviously in Canada is this kind of more tight, small tactical team setup. And I don't know, they just look really badass.
And .50 caliber heavy machine gun. The APC dismounts a mechanized infantry squad to engage the enemy infantry. The infantry squad is immediately in contact with enemy infantry. A soldier is hit. Infantry squad evacuates one wounded soldier. They use Metaware's evacuation litter EVA-23S. This casual evacuation system is extremely light and rapidly deployable. APC is equipped with attachment for the EVA-23S litter to enable easy and safe evacuation. The APC also uses the KNDS 76mm smoke grenade launcher system, integrated to SIMA Innovation's ring mount to provide cover from enemy observation and direct fire. After successful repel against counter-attacking enemy targets, both 6x6 APCs move to safe locations. The task force commander gives prepared orders to task force to execute the final phase of offensive. Indirect fire support starts the final phase. The Tremos and Nemo units are a few hundred meters away. They are given time on the target mission to maximize the effect on targets. Tremos is firing 15 rounds, and Nemo is firing 10 rounds to the same target.
See, now, just two platforms being able to fire 25 rounds simultaneously are very, very impressive. This is quick reaction indirect fire. You can tell that this whole demonstration is based around very dynamic and fluid engagements, right? Counterattacks, reconnaissances. It's very sort of flexible in what could happen. And this indirect fires gives you that flexibility to counter it. Something that you tend to not see as much, right? You tend to have more of the heavy-duty platforms that require the battery to set up and in placement, still shoot and scoot, but nowhere near as flexible and agile as these mortar systems, particularly with MSI. And as I said before, you can know if you have a customer that wants to choose the cheaper option, they've got that wheeled vehicle, or the more expensive, more capable going off-road version with the Nemo.
The commander and the tactical command post have passive radar capability. The passive radar can provide real-time information, both enemy rounds and your own. All platoons and detachments starts to execute the final mission, and they start moving towards the enemy forces. All the vehicles are in contact and use their main weapon systems to suppress the enemy targets. All the targets are now destroyed or suppressed. The commander reports to battalion headquarters that Task Force Arctic Hammer has successfully executed the offensive's first phase and achieved objective steal.
Now, Task Force Arctic Hammer, if you look at the overall basis of this, there'd be more than these vehicles in an actual task force of this kind. But it begs the question, they need that many more vehicles with the capacity and the capabilities that they have. They've got heavy-duty infantry fighting vehicles, lighter reconnaissance capability, both drone and tracked, and they have more of a medium mechanized setup for infantry as well. On top of that, very quick and accurate indirect fires. This is a task force that's, as I said, agile, quick, nimble to get through potentially the flanks or through exposed areas of the larger scale heavy-duty task forces that may be available in the area. I love this. It's showing that you can do less with more. Or sorry, more with less.
The commander has real-time information available about the status of his vehicle fleet. This information is provided by Patria's Optime and fleet management tools. The task force is fully operational to carry on its mission after ammunition refill and minor maintenance.
Well, that was pretty cool, I have to admit. Well done, Patria. That was an extremely well done demonstration. One thing I will say is if you need someone who can narrate for you instead of AI, because the AI was actually quite difficult to listen to, I'll be your guy. I'm happy to volunteer to be the voice for your very important videos and demonstrations. I can do a really good accent. Don't worry, I'll make it sound super deep and dark and intense. And I'll say modular as much as I can. In all honesty, though, this is a really good demonstration of what Patria vehicles can do, and even, that Patria sky drone setup, as you can see on the left there, kind of cool. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this demonstration, these vehicles, and again, if you didn't like listening to my voice annoying you for 36 minutes, I apologize. Thanks so much for joining me, folks. All the best. Bye-bye.